So one of the questions we get asked all the time is why we're not operating transport at the museum presently. There are a number of reasons for this, but primarily the museum has reopened in a restricted way. We're letting people in and hoping they'll enjoy their days with us, but obviously we need to trade our way out of what has been a difficult circumstance. We've had 4 months of closure. Obviously we haven't earned any money in that time, and we need to essentially trade our way back to something like the old normal that we used to enjoy. So we have back a very small transport team consisting of one person at present. Russell's been working on the buses for a number of years now, and he's come back in order to carry on the work that was started pre-lockdown. And one of the jobs, as fate would have it, was the repairs to the accessible vehicle, J2007, which is our wheelchair accessible vehicle here. It was dismantled in order to carry out quite extensive repairs to the bodywork, and that's been done externally and internally. And then we locked down. So the work was incomplete at that stage. So in the last few weeks, it's been a case of completing the work, adapting the vehicle in order to be COVID-19 secure for our brave new world, and inspecting the bus in readiness for operation around the site. All the buses work on a 28-day inspection, and this vehicle will be inspected in the next couple of days, once the work's finally completed, with the aim of having it available to use on a limited basis at the museum. We're aware that the access bus or wheelchair accessible vehicle is a priority. It enables visitors to come to the museum who might otherwise not be able to, so it's really, really important to us to have it running again. We're initially going to operate it on Wednesdays, Saturdays and Sundays, subject to it passing its exams later this week, and it'll be on an on-call basis, a manner in which we've operated some of the minibuses in the past. So it won't be in general service, but it will be available for people who have particular needs and require this vehicle in order to get around the museum. So we're inside the bus now, and it'll be fairly familiar to those people who've used it in the past. What they may notice is some of the seats are missing. That's in order to reduce the seating capacity, because we won't be able to carry more than one household at a time within the vehicle. So we've still got accessible space at the back here for wheelchairs, and then their companions on the bench seating there. And the other seats are allocated to conductors, crew or any additional family members. The principal change, other than the work that was carried out to overhaul the vehicle, is the addition of these perspex screens. And I mentioned the body's tendency to flex on the uneven roads of Beamish, so these are deliberately flexible to move with the body as well. The panelling has all been replaced. It's now been painted to try and lighten the interior a little bit, but otherwise the operation of the vehicle is the same. As I say, it'll be a crew of a driver and a conductor who are separated, the driver is separated by a screen at the front, and then one household or one group or bubble at the back of the vehicle here. The wheelchair accessible vehicle is the first on our list of priorities. It's by no means the last, and the next stage of transport returning to Beamish will be the buses, because they're flexible, they're quite high capacity and they can get around the site quite quickly. Once we've got those running again, we'll then look at the tramway. The tramway is not just about running tram cars, obviously there's the infrastructure which needs inspecting, and we've had 4 months of dormancy, 4 months of weed growth, and obviously the staff furlough during that period, so we need to kind of revitalise that and take a look at what needs doing. As part of that, we have a safety management system, and we need to look at whether we need to review that in light of post-COVID times. And we will also have to look at everybody's competencies, because during the period of closure, some competencies will have expired, and other people will need refresher training before we put vehicles back into service. So following that, we'll then look at the railways, and then we'll look at the kind of the nice-to-haves in a way, which are things like the vintage motorcycles and so on. So what we've tried to do is use where we can some of the vintage vehicles for the maintenance team and running about, just so there's a little bit of life on the roads. But we're very, very limited with just having the one member of the team back to maintain the vehicles at present.